Last year they met in the final, Michelle Johnstone, Barbara McLaughlin. Now they're going to face each other in this year's quarterfinals. And it'll be Michelle Johnstone to start after bowling a 330, winning $475 in a win over Bonnie Olson. McLaughlin, 292. She won 250, winning on pin count over Donna Watson.
Tough start for Michelle with the head pin. Cover these off. Barbara made a fantastic recovery in that last game to get here, and now both bowlers throwing very solid. Good cover on the left side. Try to get the 15 when you get a head pin up there and you're leading off. Force your opponent to make a mark.
These two meeting in the quarters raises the question of why. How do they, last year's finalists, end up playing here so early?
Well, we end up, Michelle, of course, comes back as a defending champion, seeded number 1. And then in the provincial roll-offs that the competitors go throughout their various provinces and stuff, whatever they establish as their score for their 10-game qualifying determines what ranking we will establish for them in the seeding position that they get at that particular level. And when we had Barbara come through out of Northern Ontario, she averaged 261, which was good enough for 9th spot in our seeding system here, with defending champ being number 1. There's the half.
And she'll pick up the first frame and the first $100, as we've added $50 to each frame, playing for $100 per frame now. Remember, this lane she figured out in her preliminary and actually rolled 3 strikes in the 10th to win through pin count.
She figured it out at the right time too. This one she might have just pulled it across a little bit. Her other misses in the other game on this lane were on the right side. This one she comes up, pulls across, and now's the miss on the right side here. And it's going to be an open frame as she leads off the second and throwing the opportunity back to Michelle very shortly. But it's good to watch her. She takes her time. She doesn't just rush up there and get rid of a shot just because the frame's over or anything else like that. Not going to be happy with the 10 count.
Not after she spared in the first to win the frame. And I would think these two bowlers, I mean, as you say, they've probably played each other somewhere down the bowling road, as it were. A lot of respect for each other. As she picks up the strike, Michelle Johnstone will get the second frame. You don't want to provide openings as Barbara did just then for Michelle.
Exactly, not with a 10 count. And Michelle just jumps on the chance, hammers in a strike, threw that one quite forcefully. Looked like she was maybe just a little out of her normal rhythm, but really drilled it home and has done again here.
At least make your opponent work for it.
Exactly. You've got to, when you're leading off, obviously, just as Michelle did, the strike is undoubtedly the best thing to post up there because there's nothing your opponent can do except strike to carry the frame over. You can't lose a frame on that. But it's when the misfortunes show up, the head pins, things like that. Try to get all the pins you can when you're leading off.
That's it. That's what Barbara needed to rebound from her 10. She throws the strike here in 3, means we're carrying over, and we'll play for $200 in the 4th.
She smashes these ones up real good. All 5 pins disappear. Now she sets herself once more. She's leading off here. This is a good ball. Gets that one over on the left side of the head pin for the strike again.
Because she's usually on the right-hand side, is she not?
That's where she struggled, has been struggling on that lane, is missing to the right. So it looks like she's just making a little adjustment to try to get it over to the left.
Yes, there it goes. Wow. There's an eye-opener for Michelle Johnstone.
Big string pull here, and it took its time. It was a nice ball. Goes in. It's a fraction high on the middle, but gets a good rip, and finally it falls. Watches it go. 3rd strike in a row. And now a little too thick on this one.
And that hurts because we're playing for $300 here in this fifth.
And Barbara checks out the scoreboard and sees a big opportunity. There's a miscue.
When it comes to 5-pin, I mean, I'm thinking from 10-pinners, they'll try to, on spare shots like that, they'll try to put the 10-pin ball in between the 2 pins. Here, the bowlers seem to play to the outside and kick the pins across.
Yeah, it's a very, very fine line in either game on those large splits that are so widespread. It's just a fraction of an inch down at the other end, trying to get that pin spin across.
Big chance now for Barbara McLaughlin. Now, boy, she takes full advantage of it, doesn't she, as she throws the strike, wins the 3 frames, and $300.
Great shot on that one for her 3rd strike in a row now. Watch her set here. Takes her time. And delivers.
And keeps the pressure on Michelle Johnstone. And now has to respond with a strike. Another $100 at stake here in 6.
And Michelle looked a little fast on her last attempt. Let's see if she can just get it under control again. Good stretch through it. Good ball.
Yes. All right, we're playing for $200 now in 7. And the game is on the line.
Good shot into this one. Stays into the left side. Doesn't track up onto the middle. Now is the time to put the pressure on. She can get this first ball in here. And, oh man. Great shot.
Yep.
Just ripped on the right corner.
Now looks for the spare. Michelle Johnstone, knowing that Barbara McLaughlin, with the 2 frames at stake, can advance. If she got the spare, she does. So it still provides a chance for Barbara McLaughlin, last year's runner-up, to advance, become our first semifinalist if she can win the 2 frames and the $200 available here in 7.
And she's got the opportunity she wants in that. Just throw one good ball here. And she moves on. Oh, what a break.
Goodness gracious.
What a break. Punches the head pin out, manages to come back, kick off the right 3-2, and leave her an opportunity to spare this and continue the carryover. She knows this isn't the greatest ball. It goes through. She's disappointed with it, and all of a sudden, bang. She's still alive.
But she needs this now. She needs the spare here. Or the 2 frames will go to Michelle Johnstone. She got the spare? She does.
So that's the big thing. There's times that you get breaks, but taking advantage of it is quite different a lot of times. And just watch this lady work. She stands here. She takes her time when she lines up. She doesn't rush into shots. She doesn't go until she's ready.
Same situation is in play here. Barbara can advance. This time she gets 1.
Well, she got the break last time. This time only a 2-pin on the left side coming off with it. She does place it on the middle again, so she's drilled it on the nose twice now for head pins. Tries to help this one coax its way back. She'll probably try to settle for the 15 here. There's the 3-2 on the right gone. And get this last 3-pin off to get the 15 count. And then she's going to have to sit back and see what Michelle will do when she takes her chance in the bottom of the 8th frame.
And after rolling 4 strikes and a spare, this will hurt her pin count as well, as it brings her back to a 224 count through 8.
Very much so. And Michelle now, if she can throw a strike here and another one in 9, can get all that pinfall back.
Now we're playing for 3 frames here and $300 that's at stake. If Michelle can strike her spare here, we'll be all even. Now she needs the spare, or at least a count here of 12 to force another carryover.
Really needs the spare, though. keep the pinfall going.
She got her spare.
Oh, she gets tapped on the left corner, but she is going to pick up the frames.
Whoa.
She's got a 13 count right now.
So she'll get the $300, means we're all even. She gets her 15 count.
That brings her up to 190 through the 8th frame as compared to Barbara McLaughlin's 224. Neither bowler on a mark at the present time, but Michelle with an opportunity to lead off in the 9th, see if she can put a little pressure on to Barbara.
And remember, money, if we're tied after 10, there's a big strike for Michelle. We'll use the pin count, and that pin count right now is in favor of Barbara McLaughlin.
This is a good shot in. Crosses over to the right side, gets great pin action, covers them all.
She actually seemed to bounce it a little bit, too.
Just kind of, I think she wanted to stay aggressive on that shot, so rather than lay it down, go right through it. Barbara needs to do the same thing here. Stay aggressive.
Got a strike? She does. So here we go. Game is on the line. Final frame is worth the $200 left. If we split it, we'll use pin count to see who becomes our first semi-finalist. It's defending champion John Stone, last year's runner-up McLaughlin.
Oh my, not now, she's thinking. That's a head pin that she really had in 7 that turned into a chop-off. Then a head pin in 8, a strike in 9, and now the head pin in 10. And all she's got to do is go up there and cover these pins off, and she's going to have to sit down and see what happens if Michelle Johnstone would fall into the same misfortune. She's got the pinfall on her side.
And
Barbara
Michelle
does.
has. She's had a couple of head pins of her own. One in the 1st and then one in the 5th.
So she has going to have to beat 15 in all likelihood. I'm giving this pin to Barbara on this shot, which would give her a 266 game. There it is. Good game, very untimely finish with head pins in 8 and 10.
For the final money and to advance, our defending champion, has she got it?
There's the shot that does it.
She'll pick up the final money and takes a deep sigh of relief.
Again, very aggressive with the shot, delivers it nicely. Well, the ball tracks over to the right-hand side of the head pin. Wasn't tentative with either of those shots and was rewarded with strikes. See if she can finish off with one more. Rich looking on there.
Yeah. Watching the scoreboard just as closely as his daughter.
And 43 the final count, 278.
But more importantly is the money. She picks up the final 2 frames. Terrific comeback. Unfortunate for Barbara McLaughlin. She had 2 head pins in the last 3 frames. Michelle Johnstone, our defending champion, picks up $600 and she takes the first big step. She becomes our first semi-finalist in women's 5-pin